Hey, so I was gonna go live on Facebook feeding the kittens, and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I only have half an hour in between meetings right now, so I figured I'll just do the equivalent of going live, pretend that I'm live right now, and take video while I feed the kittens and show you what the process is like. So, right now I am feeding Finn, the little black dude here, and his siblings are, as you can see, vying for the attention of the bottle. Um, Finn is the first to eat. I try to rotate which of them feeds first, just, you know, for fairness, in case one of them eats better, more, whatever, so they don't get a complex. and yeah, Poe is the gray one here. Poe is particularly aggressive about trying to get it. Okay, and Finn is backing off. So then I stop and I check, I look at the bottle, and it was filled up to about here. So he had about a tablespoon, I can eyeball, and that's about 15 milliliters. So I gotta keep track and remember how much each of them have because I track that. We track their feeding. They feed every 4 hours right now. They're 3 weeks old. And I also track their weight once a day, and I track them getting their medication for their eye infection, and when I notice it, I track when they've pooped. So here's Poe going, and I'm gonna move Ray down so that I can get a good angle of Poe and show you a couple things. So one thing is the kittens will sort of instinctively try to be more upright when they're feeding, and that's not natural for them. That's not how they would be feeding on their mother, and it's not good for them. So I don't want the milk to be going basically like straight down their throat into their stomach. These bottles, when you buy them, they don't have holes in the tips of the nipples. You have to cut the holes to the size that you want them. And the goal when you're cutting the nipple is for it to, when you turn the bottle all the way upside down, it should slowly drip out. It shouldn't stream, and it shouldn't not drip. You know, it shouldn't require suction to get anything out of it. So for that reason, if he stopped suckling at it right now, theoretically it would still slowly be dripping out, and we don't want it to be dripping like straight down his throat. So I try to get them, I don't have him right now at exactly the normal angle that I would have him. I would usually have him sort of straight up toward me. Hey, Paul. So he's sort of exploring the bottle right now and has taken the nipple out of his mouth, and I'm not sure if he still wants it or not. And particularly since he's a needy little boy, I'm gonna give him another shot at it before I pass over to Ray. Sorry, Ray. Oh, you want it? Yeah, there we go. So one of the other things is I have the bottle at a slight angle, but not like all the way upright by any means. I also have to watch out. I can see whether he's latching by looking towards the bottom of his mouth. I can't get close enough for you guys to be able to see that. And they're actually eating quite a bit faster right now than they usually do. Yeah, the first, whoever feeds the first will have the least angle, because what I want is to have it, I wonder if I can get the camera so that I can show you this, because this is a trick I didn't learn right away. So I'm looking at the bottle here, and I want to be able to see some liquid here, because I want to be able to see bubbles coming up into it, which means that I know that he's getting milk. And actually right now he's feeding fast enough that I'm not, like, I can tell by looking at his throat here. I can tell I don't have to look for the bubbles, but that's usually one of the things that I'm doing. Kittens can feed very slowly, and the first 2 times that I fed them, I hadn't opened the nipple up wide enough, and so they were feeding even more slowly because they were having to suckle to get at it. So it's just something that if you are bottle feeding small mammals, you have to watch for. And I'm gonna guess he's gonna be done in a minute or two. So right now at 3.5 weeks old, I would want them to be around 400 grams. They should be between 350 and 450. And Finn, who's down here right now, is the only one who's, as of last night, he was still under 350. All three of them came to me. Finn was 240 when he came to me, 240 grams, which is like significantly less than he should have been. So they were probably malnourished. So I'm happy to see them eating a lot. I'm not worried about seeing them eating faster. Poe does this thing sometimes where he sort of turns his head and chews on the nipple for a little bit, especially towards the end of his feeding, and then he does it on the other side. And that's fine. I'm not worried about that with this nipple. But you all done, bud? Are you all done? Good boy. So pause a second. Taking a look at this one. Remember that Finn had about that much, had about 15 milliliters. Poe appears to have had about 15 milliliters, and he just hiccuped a little bit. I like having them up here in part because then I can easily, when they're done, I burp them a little bit. Or just, let them sort of digest, and then they'll go down when they want to. He's already going. So with Poe, one of the things that I had to be careful of was the first nipple that I used for him. Let's see if we can see it. He chewed right through it by gnawing on it. So the one that I have on the bottle now is more secure. Then the second nipple, he had started to chew through it, so that he and his siblings weren't getting proper suction on it. So I had to switch to a different type of bottle and a different type of nipple to make sure that he couldn't do that. And this one now they've been eating on for several days and they're fine. And actually, now that I think of it, they're probably, they were 3 weeks when I got them last Saturday, so they're probably close to 4 weeks now. And now it's Ray's turn for the bottle. Poe, if you want some more later, you can have some more later. So Ray, okay, there we go. So for her, I have to tip it a little bit more, and I always hope that the third one doesn't have, whoever I am feeding third doesn't have their siblings bothering them, but it's not the case. Finn and Poe are still going to be bothering, or as we say in our household, giving a bother. Or your brother's giving you a bother. Giving you a bother. Yeah. But he's not as aggressive about it because he's eaten already. He probably just wants a little bit more. I did ask. Yeah. So I would need a different arrangement of hands to be able to show you what he's doing, but he's like gnawing on this black part on this side. He's not even like trying to push her off of it or anything. He's just gnawing at the bottle. So pulling him back a little bit from that. But yeah, so they're getting closer to healthy weight. They're gaining every day. That's something that I have to see if I saw any sign that they were plateauing. I would need to be in touch with my foster agency and the medical staff there right away, because at this age that's a sign of sickness. If they're not gaining weight, they should be gaining weight every day. So I check their weight after their evening feeding. You always have to check it. You have to choose, are you checking it before a feeding or after a feeding? And so I chose to check it after, and I check it. I'm not going to be checking it during this time. I'll be checking it during their next feeding. And I am in the middle of my work day right now, so I won't be able to snuggle with them for too long afterwards, although maybe a little bit longer since they fed so fast today. And yeah, Ray here is doing this sweet little thing. I don't know if you can see where she's like crossing her paws. in front of her. And a lot of times they'll be sort of grabbing at the bottle and grabbing at your fingers as you're feeding, but as they get more and more comfortable, they're more likely to be able to just rest and, trust that you have the bottle for them. I'm trying to think what else you need to know about bottle feeding kittens. I mean, a lot of things. The Kitten Lady on YouTube has a ton of resources if you're interested in fostering kittens, and that's part of how I decided that we were going to, how Matt and I decided that we were going to, is we watched the videos together over a course of several months. We just, as a form of entertainment, some evening would watch these videos by Kitten Lady, and they talk about things like how to stimulate kittens to go to the bathroom, how to identify whether a kitten is boy or a girl, how to identify how to care for a kitten with ringworm, and different sorts of high needs animal tips. So she's starting to do this thing that they do where they kind of bob on it, and that usually means she's just about done. And whoa, she had a tablespoon and a half at least. It should be 22. So let's see, we've got half a tablespoon left, which is 7 grams. It was 60 grams to start with. So, or 60 milliliters, 7 milliliters, 60 milliliters. So they went through 53, which would be 15 and 15 and 23. So I am gonna see if Poe or Finn wants the remaining 7. You coming, Poe? He's right down here, but they're all sort of fighting each other right now. Here. Hey, Poe, you wanted this a minute ago. Do you still want it? You were fighting your sister for it. Not nice of you if you didn't want it. Okay, he's doing the thing where he's chewing it out on the side. He gets a little bit of milk out of it from that. But yeah. So the parts of my kitten routine, feeding them, giving them medicine for their eyes, doing some grooming for them. I use a toothbrush, which stimulates the feeling of their mother cleaning them, and helps teach them which areas to groom. So I can particularly, if I see a place that their fur is a little matted, or they spilled some milk on themselves or something, I can sort of touch at it or near it with the toothbrush and encourage them to groom over there. Keeping them warm at this age. They're pretty close to being able to self-regulate their temperatures, but they can't yet fully. So I have, can I reach it? Are you done, Poe? These heat discs, which you microwave for 5 minutes every 10 to 12 hours and put in, and they can use that as a supplemental heat source. After every feeding, you stimulate them to go to the bathroom. I'm doing that over their litter box now so that they begin to associate it with the litter box area and the litter box smell, so I'm not going to show that off. What else? Some play. They mostly just play with each other right now. Toys are pretty large and intimidating for them at this point in time. Weighing them once a day, changing their pee pads and their litter and such once they start actually using them. So these are some of the things that we do with kitten feeding, kitten training, and kitten fostering. And he got not quite all of it. Not quite all of it, huh? Oh, Finn, you want some more too? You want to get the last bits? I sort of put my thumb underneath it so that it doesn't just drip out onto their faces while they're deciding if they want it and getting in position. And no, he doesn't want it. Okay. But yes. So once these guys hit 4 weeks, which I'm going to use Saturday as my benchmark for it since I got them last Saturday, and I was told they were 3 weeks old. Then of course we don't know exactly how old they are, but so once they hit 4 weeks, we'll move to feeding them every 4 to 5 hours instead of every 3 to 4 hours. We'll increase their amount per feeding, but honestly at this age, so like I said, this bottle is 66 milliliters. They're supposed to have 14 to 18 milliliters per feeding each. So right now this bottle is more than enough for all of them, but they're all right now usually having at or above already the level that they're supposed to be having at their age. So I don't think I will actually need to increase the amount. I think they will naturally just start drinking more, and that they already have. But, potentially I'll be prepared to have a bottle and a half or 2 bottles for them to share between them. And I'm going to start litter training them. So that's what's up within the next week. Thanks for watching my not live stream. Peace.